Bharat, as described in the Puranas, is not just a geographical entity but also a spiritually significant land. It is divided into 9 distinct regions or islands, each separated by the vast oceans, making them relatively isolated from one another. These islands are Indradvipa, Nagadvipa, Kashiruman, Gabhastaman, Gandharva, Kamanika, Tamravarna, Saumya, and Varuna. Among these, Kamanika is especially noteworthy as it stretches 1,000 yojanas from north to south. Bharat has many mountains, out of which some of them include Mahendra, Malaya, Sahya, Shuktiman, Vriksha, Vindhya, and Pariyatra. The rivers of Bharat are vital to both its geography and spiritual life. The major rivers include Ganga, Saraswati, Sindhu, Chandrabhaga, Yamuna, Sharadu, Vitista, Iravati, and Kahu. These rivers are often referred to as the mothers of India, nourishing the land and purifying the people. They symbolize the cleansing of sins and are integral to religious and spiritual practices, guiding individuals toward moksha or liberation. Bharat is also home to various important pilgrimage sites, such as Kapila, Gograha, Soma, Alabu, Mrityunjay, Vasuka, Kroda Tirtha, and Siddhakeshwara. In terms of the tribes, Bharat is home to many distinct groups, including the Pandya, Kerala, Chola, Kulya, Setuka, Mushika, Kshapana, and Vinavasiga tribes. As for the spiritual practices, the land of Bharat is considered a place where actions, or karma, lead to profound results. There are 3 main types of karma performed here: Nitya karma, Nemitika karma, and Kamya karma. These actions not only affect one's present life but also shape their afterlife. In addition to spiritual growth, it is believed that the people of Bharat can live longer and achieve spiritual liberation through the practice of good karma. This connection to karma makes Bharat unique, as it is said that even the gods desire to be born here due to the immense opportunities for spiritual advancement. King Vikramaditya, known for his kindness, once traveled disguised as a saint. While resting under a tree, he overheard an old bird named Chiranjeevi speaking to its family. One bird shared a sad story about a demon who demanded daily human sacrifices from a nearby city called Palasha. A Brahmin family was in great distress because they had only one son, and offering him would end their bloodline. The king, moved by their plight, decided to help. He went to the city, assured the Brahmin family of their safety, and offered himself to the demon as a sacrifice instead. When the demon arrived and saw the king's calmness and cheerfulness, he was astonished. The king explained that he was willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. Touched by the king's selflessness, the demon granted him a boon. The king requested the demon to abandon his violent ways. His message was clear: just as we protect our own lives, we must protect the lives of others. Giving in to the king's words, the demon stopped eating humans. In the city of Makandika, a monk observing silence went to a merchant's house to beg for alms. There, he saw the merchant's beautiful daughter, which made him desirous. He told the merchant that his daughter would bring misfortune and advised him to put her in a box and throw it into the Ganga river. The merchant, fearing the monk's words, followed his advice. Meanwhile, a prince found the box with the girl in it, rescued her, and married her according to Gandharva tradition. To teach the monk a lesson, the prince replaced the girl with a ferocious monkey and placed the box back in the river. When the monk's disciples found the box and brought it back, the monk was eager to open it, thinking it contained the girl. However, when he opened it, the monkey attacked him, biting off his nose and tearing his ears. The monk was humiliated, and everyone laughed at his fate. Meanwhile, the merchant's daughter was happily married to the prince. King Dushyanta of Hastinapura, while returning from a hunt, visits sage Kamba's hermitage, where he meets Shakuntala. They fall in love and secretly marry in a Gandharva ceremony. Dushyanta gives her a ring as proof of their union and promises to send for her soon. Later, sage Durvasa visits the hermitage, but Shakuntala, lost in thoughts of Dushyanta, neglects to greet him properly. Angered, the sage curses her, declaring that Dushyanta will forget her, even if reminded. At the plea of her friend, he softens the curse, saying that the ring could restore his memory. When sage Kamba learns of her marriage, he sends Shakuntala to Dushyanta's palace. However, Upon her arrival, Dushyanta denies recognizing her or their marriage. Shakuntala reminds him of moments they shared, including a playful interaction involving a deer called Dirghapanga. Yet, her efforts fail to jog his memory. Shakuntala then attempts to show him the ring he gave her, but it had slipped from her hand during the journey. Without proof, Dushyanta questions whether accepting her claim might dishonor him or if rejecting her would mean abandoning his own wife. Shakuntala leaves heartbroken, and Dushyanta, though unable to remember their marriage, feels a deep, unexplained sorrow, leaving him conflicted and troubled. Maharana Pratap Singh is remembered as one of India's greatest warriors, a symbol of courage, patriotism, and unwavering determination. Born in 1540 to Maharana Uday Singh II and Javantabai, he became the ruler of Mewar and stood as a strong force against the Mughal Emperor Akbar's attempts to dominate India. After the loss of Chittorgarh to the Mughals, Maharana Pratap made a solemn vow. He pledged that until his kingdom was free, he would not eat from gold or silver plates, sleep on a soft bed, or live in a palace. This promise became his guiding force and reflected his deep sense of duty toward his land and people. The journey to reclaim Mewar was not easy. Maharana Pratap and his family endured immense hardships while living in the forest. Food was scarce, and they lived in constant fear of enemy attacks. In one heart-wrenching moment, his wife prepared bread from wild grass to feed their hungry children. As his daughter began eating, a forest cat snatched the bread from her hand, leaving her in tears. Though this sight pained him deeply, it only strengthened Maharana Pratap's resolve to fight on. The Bhil tribe, loyal supporters, provided food, shelter, and even joined his fight as warriors, showing their unwavering support during his darkest days. Amid these struggles, Bhama Shah, a devoted minister, stepped forward. He offered Maharana Pratap a treasure large enough to support an army of 25,000 soldiers for 12 years. Although reluctant at first, Maharana Pratap accepted this aid, realizing the importance of the gesture. With Bhama Shah's help, he rebuilt his army and managed to reclaim much of his lost territory, though Chittorgarh remained beyond his reach. Maharana Pratap's legacy is celebrated to this day. The Indian government has honored him with coins and stamps, and a grand statue of him riding his loyal horse, Chetak, stands proudly in front of the Indian Parliament. Chetak, who saved Maharana Pratap's life during the Battle of Haldighati, is remembered as a symbol of loyalty and courage. Maharana Pratap's life is a tale of bravery, sacrifice, and love for the motherland. His story continues to inspire us to value freedom, uphold honor, and serve our nation with all our strength. Chandrapada went on his conquests with great determination. One day, his journey brought him to an ancient temple of Lord Shiva. Inside, he met a maiden named Mahashweta, who was devoted to the deity. After bowing to Shiva, Chandrapada listened as Mahashweta began to tell her story. She shared that she was born to Gauri, an Apsara, and Hamsa, a Gandharva. Her parents loved her deeply, and her childhood was filled with happiness. As she grew older, her beauty blossomed like the flowers of spring. One day, while bathing in the calm waters of Achoda Lake, she wandered into the woods, drawn by a sweet and enchanting fragrance. There, she saw a young sage named Pundarika, the son of the great Shwetaketu and goddess Lakshmi. Pundarika's appearance left her amazed. He looked graceful and calm, wearing simple robes and holding a rosary and water pitcher. To Mahashweta, he was more handsome than even the god of love. She couldn't resist approaching him. When she asked about him, his companion Kapinjala explained his divine origins and said the sweet fragrance came from the Parijata flower he wore. Mahashweta and Pundarika felt an instant connection. Pundarika gave her the Parijata flower from his ear, and placed it on her ear. As he felt her touch, the rosary fell from his hand, but before it could fall to the ground, Mahashweta caught it and wore it like a necklace. She felt as though his arm was wrapped around her. Pundarika was drawn to her but remembered his vows as a sage. Kapinjala scolded him, reminding him of his responsibilities. Embarrassed, Pundarika asked for his rosary back. Mahashweta gave him her pearl necklace in exchange. As Mahashweta left with her companions, her heart stayed behind, thinking of Pundarika. Their short meeting was the start of a beautiful story of love and longing. In this story, the narrator admires a young woman named Shanti, who works at a garment store. She's graceful, charming, and attractive, with a sweet smile and dignified behavior. The narrator often finds himself watching her from the street, feeling a sense of sadness on days when he doesn't see her. He becomes curious about her life, wondering if she is married, has children, or is with someone special. One day, while watching her speak to a young man inside the store, feelings of jealousy and anger arise in him. But he notices that she doesn't have any marital marks, leading him to think that she might be unmarried. To his surprise, Shanti later visits his office. She introduces herself as the wife of Sundar, a man the narrator had once helped find a job. Shanti shares that Sundar always spoke highly of the narrator, but sadly, he had passed away the year before. Deeply moved by her grace and dignity, the narrator feels guilty about his earlier feelings of jealousy. He offers her money for the ritual ceremony, but Shanti politely declines. After she leaves, the narrator's feelings change, and he sees Shanti not just as a beautiful woman, but as a truly dignified soul, deserving of deep respect. This play is about Karna, known for his bravery and generosity, who learns the powerful Bhargavastra from his guru, Parashurama. After finishing his training, Karna feels hesitant to leave the ashrama. He takes a quiet walk around and reflects on the time spent there in the bond with his guru. Karna sees Parashurama resting on a rock and decides to serve him. He gently places Parashurama's head on his lap to keep him comfortable while he sleeps. An insect named Vajrakita then bites Karna's thigh. Despite the pain, Karna stays silent and doesn't disturb his guru. The insect keeps biting until it draws blood, waking Parashurama. When Parashurama sees the blood and notices Karna's patience, he becomes suspicious and asks him about his identity. Karna admits that he is the son of a charioteer, not a Brahmin. Feeling deceived, Parashurama curses Karna, saying that the knowledge he gained will fail him when he remembers his true birth. But seeing Karna's devotion, Parashurama softens. He blesses Karna with a long life and tells him to use his skills to protect the good and defeat the wicked. This poem is a collection of shlokas teaching us moral values. Nitisara means the essence of ethics. Let's go through each shloka one by one. 1. A good son, like a fragrant tree, brings honor to his family. 2. People seek wealth, but the truly great seek respect, which is the real wealth. 3. Listening helps in understanding righteousness, abandoning bad thoughts, gaining knowledge, and attaining liberation. 4. Students should avoid excessive sleep, desires, anger, greed, unnecessary curiosity, and overwork. 5. Actions follow the doer like a calf follows its mother. 6. Thoughts should be kept private to protect one's plans. 7. Knowledge, like a cow giving milk, is a hidden wealth that bears fruit at the right time. 8. Wealth supports righteousness, and yoga offers protection. A gentle king protects his people and a righteous woman protects her home. 9. True wealth is not material. Without knowledge, a person is truly poor. 10. Desires stir the mind, so one must control them. 11. Kindness, charity, and protecting the helpless are qualities of a good person. 12. Those who speak kindly, give generously, and show respect are honored by all. 13. A person should think like a swan, act like a lion, be swift like a wolf, and be humble like a rabbit. 14. Wealth should be protected to support family in righteousness. 15. A person who plants certain trees like peepal tree, banyan tree and pichuminda will never see hell. This lesson focuses on the life and contributions of Professor A.R. Krishnashastri, a respected scholar in Sanskrit and Kannada literature. Born on August 12, 1890, into a family with a deep connection to Sanskrit learning, Krishnashastri was introduced to the language by his father. He excelled in his studies and under the guidance of great scholars at Maharaja's College in Mysore, developed a passion for preserving Karnataka's cultural and linguistic heritage. Professor Krishnashastri was known for his remarkable contributions to Kannada and Sanskrit literature. His works, such as Vachana Bharata and Kathamrita, are widely respected. He also contributed to literary journals and dictionaries, and his book Bankim Chandra received the prestigious Central Sahitya Akademi Award. His dedication to literature and culture had a significant impact, making him a key figure in the intellectual circles of his time. One of his core beliefs was that Sanskrit is a valuable cultural treasure passed down by ancestors. He stressed the importance of learning Sanskrit, along with other languages, to preserve India's rich heritage. As a teacher, he was deeply committed to his students' welfare, offering both guidance and support, especially to those facing financial challenges. His compassion for students went beyond academics, as he actively helped them overcome personal struggles. His values of hard work, courage, and self-respect were central to his life's philosophy. He encouraged his students to stay united, respect their cultural roots, and work towards the progress of their nation. His message remains an inspiring example of how dedication to knowledge and compassion can help preserve cultural identity and contribute to the greater good of society. Thank you for watching. There's a document of all the Sanskrit summaries in the link down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next class.